A few months ago, I was teaching a mental health class to a group of people that were training to become first responders. And some of them were late, some of them were out of uniform and, just doing things that they weren't supposed to do. And their supervisor came in and ripped them a new one. Okay. They was going off. You have no respect. You have no honor. You're this, you're that. You're lazy and like just like going off, right? Like, and I'm just standing there. And I felt bad for him, but I can guarantee that the next time they're not going to be late. But it's not going to be because of the honor and the respect that the leader was talking about. It's going to be because fear and shame work. The downside of that is that when we use those kind of tactics in our communication, is that it doesn't help us to grow as leaders. What's even more jarring for me about situations like that is when people have those aggressive type of communication, it doesn't just stay at work. It comes right on home to their spouses and to their children. And the way that we communicate affects us in every part of our society. So this experience got me thinking, how do we instill qualities like honor and respect in people without using our words to hurt, to shame, and to embarrass? TalkTicians, welcome and welcome back to my channel. My name is Tatiana. I teach communication strategies to help you master difficult conflict. Now, whether you're a parent, a team leader, commander in chief, whatever your role is, I can assure you that you are going to get something valuable out of this video. So the first thing I want to talk about is, why the heck do we even use that? Why do we use those kind of tactics, fear, shame, humiliation, in order to get our point across? And then I want to offer us some practical communication tips that, one, help us improve as leaders and also help to instill those qualities like honor and respect in the people that we are training and leading. So why do we do it? We do it because culture deems humiliation as acceptable. Y'all remember back in the day when we were in high school and, like, that you got the kid that be acting out and then mama would come up to the school with rollers in their head and slides on their feet and they all ashy and stuff like that, and they come to the school yelling and screaming at the kid. Typically that behavior changed. Domination and embarrassment change behavior. That's another reason why we do it. It changes people's behavior. Well, on the surface at least. The downside of that is, one, people become more sneaky and it becomes a lot harder for them to actually learn the lesson because we didn't teach them anything. We just embarrassed them. What we're not seeing when we choose to use those kind of communication tactics is how it erodes the relationship and how it further damages the organization and its culture. Well, why should we change this behavior if it actually works and we feel like sometimes people deserve it? Well, because if you are in a leadership role, you are called to more. You are called to higher. Leaders are supposed to be trustworthy. So that means that we should be telling the truth, but we have to be skilled in the way that we deliver that truth. As leaders, we should be shifting negative environments to positive and using shame and fear and humiliation in our communication. It's probably not going to do that. When we use those tactics, it erodes trust. Who is going to come to us when they make a mistake or when they have a question if our goal is not to coach, but to belittle them and make them feel small? I also want to note that life is hard enough. The job is hard enough, whether it's a teen that is navigating life in this day and age, or whether it's a firefighter or a police officer that has to see really, really traumatic things on a daily basis. It's already hard. So as leaders, we don't need to add more difficulty and more shame and negativity to that situation. When we choose to use shame and fear and humiliation in our words, we hinder our growth as leaders. It's not just about the people that we're talking to, but us as well. We miss the opportunity to learn how to communicate in a better way, to learn how to use different, healthier tactics to actually instill those qualities that we want. We lose the opportunity to learn how to teach. Those are actual skills, and we don't get it when we choose to cuss people out, fuss people out, tell them that they ain't nothing. It don't help nobody. So in the comments, when you weren't performing at your best, how did your mentors, how did your leaders talk to you? What did they say to help you to inspire, to grow, and to change? All right, now let's get down to these tips. The first thing you're going to have to do to change your communication is to deal with yourself first. You will have to ask yourself some questions. Why do I use these tactics of fear and shame in my communication? Is it because I'm burned out? Am I tired? Do I feel disrespected? Is it because this is how my leadership talked to me? When you feel disrespected, do you use these kind of tactics and this kind of communication because you need to feel in control? You need to feel powerful. Be real with yourself and ask yourself those questions. Once you have the answer to that, then you make that commitment. Hey, this ain't working. This is not me at my best. I want to communicate in a way that is going to help people to grow and actually instill that self-generated honor and respect. Another tip is to use your words to restore dignity. If I was that leader, I would have said, hey, I'm gonna give y'all 5 minutes to step out, go and get into the proper uniform. And when you come back, show me that you are ready to lead and to model what this program is all about. This way, they understand that the behavior that they showed communicates that they were unready and unserious. And you did that in a way without using shame and fear and humiliation. Now, if they're not prepared after you did that, then you go ahead and you have a conversation with them in private, not in front of other people. And if it's still not working, then consequences, cut their behinds out the program. Another thing that I like to do with my communication is to use my words to call people up and not out. What I would have said in that situation is when you show up on time and prepared, it shows people the kind of honor and respect that a leader should have. And I expect that from each and every one of you moving forward. Sometimes when people are learning, like they're green, like they're not connecting all of the dots, so they don't really see how their behavior is impacting the situation, right? So sometimes you got to connect the dots for them. Saying a statement like that reminds them that people are leaning on them, they are trusting them. So you are reminding them of who they are, not who they aren't. That is how you start to instill those qualities of honor and respect. My last communication tactic is to ask questions. We want people to think. That is how we get honor and respect and all those different qualities that we want to be self-generated. Okay, it doesn't take a tongue lashing to do that, but ask them questions. Begin to link that undesirable behavior to the job. If you're at work as a leader, in private, ask them why they were late. You can ask them why they chose the job. That is going to get them thinking about what their initial motivation was for getting into the work. And then they will start to think, did my behavior really line up with this? But you'll get them to do that without cussing them out and embarrassing them. As a leader, I would say, hey, you showed up late because you wanted to grab coffee. What would happen to a victim or to a patient if you were late? And let them think about that. They probably gonna die, okay? But let them come to that conclusion by asking questions. Both educationally and professionally, when I wasn't at my best, my leaders didn't yell and scream and embarrass me. Their job was to coach, and they did just that. They didn't go out of their way to make me feel little. Okay. So, leaders, everybody that's watching this video, I want to remind us that our words have power. Use them to uplift, use them to guide, and to cultivate the qualities that we want: honor and respect, in a way that's going to be self generated. TalkTicians, I hope that these tips helped. Till next time.